We do, however, have a number of declassified government documents that describe UFOs being seen over America's nuclear facilities in the early atomic era. Several from the FBI describe a series of events over and near Los Alamos. This is, again, another central component of America's nuclear program. One of these FBI documents from January 31, 1949, and then there was another from a year and a half later in August of 1950, describe what you can only call an invasion of sensitive airspace repeatedly by unknown and extraordinary objects. So the first document gives specific dates for the initial sightings when they began in December 1948. In that month, they occurred on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, 13th, 14th, 20th, and 28th of that month. And the witnesses were all very high caliber. We're talking special agents of OSI, airline pilots, military pilots, Los Alamos security inspectors. There was some speculation that these objects might have been Soviet, but there were no reasons offered, no evidence offered, and in fact there's no evidence to this day. Meteorites were also ruled out in this analysis. The initial conclusion was that they were either dealing with a previous unknown natural phenomenon or something man-made, except no one seemed to know any project anywhere that could have caused these sightings. And again, after more than 60 years, we still don't. By the way, the second of those documents, referring to Los Alamos incursions, this is by August of 1950, stated that by then a total of 150 observations had been made. You think about it, 150 over that region in about a year and a half. By then, they'd been able to determine that there are three types of objects being seen. First was a type known as green fireballs, which were objects, this is in the words of the memo, moving at high speeds in shapes resembling half-moons, circles, and disks emitting green light. The second type was a bit more of the in-your-face variety, that is disks, round flat-shaped objects or phenomena moving at fast velocity and emitting a brilliant white light or reflected light. That's the memo. And then the third type were meteors, at which you might breathe a sigh of relief, except that the author then immediately says, well, aerial phenomena resembling meteoric material, moving at high velocity and varying in color. The colors noted were white, amber, red, and green, so quite a range. We don't know what these objects were to this day. Another key place where the U.S. developed its atomic technologies was at Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Here's where the Manhattan Project had established a pilot plant to produce plutonium. UFOs were reported there as well. A declassified teletype from October 13, 1950, stated that the night before, an Air Force radar installation picked up 11 unknown objects, perhaps more, traveling across Oak Ridge. They were slow, low in the sky, less than 5,000 feet, maybe 1,000. Fighters were scrambled, but they saw nothing. They didn't have any explanation for this. The radar was in perfect operating condition. Everyone knew their job. That was only the beginning at Oak Ridge. An FBI teletype of December 5th, 1950, writes of 6 unidentified objects over Oak Ridge from the previous day. It's clear that people were scratching their heads. Some wondered if this was maybe a weather phenomenon. It doesn't appear to be because the sightings continued. And we get another teletype from just a few days later, December 8th, from the FBI's Richmond office. Here's a quote. This office very confidentially advised by Army Intelligence Richmond that they have been put on immediate high alert for any data whatsoever concerning flying saucers. Violations of airspace there occurred on the 15th and 16th of December 1950, and quite a few over the next few months. And recall that this is during the Korean War. If a major crisis occurring on the other side of the world, monopolizing the news and the efforts of the United States military, and yet you got a statement like this, that they want any information on flying saucers. You have to ask why. Odd craft were seen for quite some time over Oak Ridge. A fascinating document from late 1953 describes a visual sighting of a UFO seen over Oak Ridge. This is an incredible case. An F-86 fighter aircraft had just flown by, after which a black object was seen to appear out of a white cloud. It's about 12,000 to 15,000 feet altitude. It began to travel in large circles very rapidly for about 5 minutes. Sometimes it looked cigar-shaped, sometimes round. Now here, this is the report. Quote, Object was extremely black in color, having an appearance of a deep black metal exterior with a fine gloss. It's quite detailed. It did not leave a vapor trail. No sound was heard. The object flew east at a tremendous speed for what appeared to be 3 miles, where it stopped. The object was then joined by 2 more of these same objects. A formation similar to a spread V was formed, and the objects at a tremendous speed flew in an eastward direction. Words fail me at this point. It's rather extraordinary. Incidentally, there's one more document describing a UFO over the Hanford nuclear plant, which I mentioned earlier. Well, we have an Air Force memo from August 8, 1950, which shows us that the Hanford facility continued to be of great interest. Let me just read this brief statement. Since 30 July 1950, objects round in form have been sighted over the Hanford AEC plant. That's Atomic Energy Commission plant. Air Force jets attempted interception with negative results. All units, including the anti-aircraft battalion, radar units, Air Force fighter squadrons, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have been alerted for further observation. The Atomic Energy Commission states that the investigation is continuing. And by the way, there are no subsequent FOIA documents that we've gotten over what the nature of that investigation was, even though we assume it happened. So all I can say is good grief. Do you think they were taking this seriously, rather? Yes, I think they were. There are many more of these, and I'll be talking about some of those in the next panel. I think that these are more than mere accident or coincidence. Anyone charged with security over these vital installations would have to take these events very seriously. Indeed, not to do so would be a grave violation of one's sworn duty to protect and defend such installations, and it would not be hard to see why deep secrecy would dominate the subject of UFOs. There are many other incidents regarding UFOs and nuclear installations that occurred in later years. As I mentioned, I'll discuss some of them shortly in the next panel. There's even evidence that these types of events have continued to occur much more recently, although they're a little harder to confirm due to the unresponsiveness and stonewalling of affected agencies. Yet the events which took place so long ago not only demand a scientific analysis, but they also cry out to be understood for what they were, a key component in the implementation of secrecy so profound, so serious, that they contributed to the creation of a state within a state, not bound by the traditional American goals of public openness and responsiveness to the people. And one might argue such events are so serious that the public really doesn't have a need to know. Well, I beg to differ. I do think that citizens in a free republic, if they are to govern, which is the basic idea, do have a need to know about the important things in their world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Excellent. Excellent information.